I've literally been wanting to film this book review for weeks, but I've just been so busy that it just keeps getting further and further away since I've read it. And I have my thoughts written and I have everything that I want to talk about, but moving really stops you from making the videos you want to make. So guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review for Gods and Monsters by Shelby Mehurin. To be honest, I'm not that fussed about this book, so I probably could have not filmed the review, but I thought I should finish off my trilogy of reviews here because I've made one for every single book. And obviously I have some thoughts and feelings about it too, because a few things happen in this book that I need to like air because I'm mad about it. But I'm also, I'm back. It's very weird now that people just like knock on my door now that I'm in suburbia, because if people knocked at my door at the farm, I was just like, what the hell, I'm getting murdered. But I still have the same vibe. But it was just someone who wanted to see my parents, but they are not here because they're buying food. But yes, I'm excited to get into my thoughts and feelings about this book. Obviously there's going to be spoilers, considering this is a third book in a series, but also because I can't make non-spoilery book reviews anymore. It's basically just me talking about all my thoughts and feelings after the reading process. But like, let's get into these thoughts. One thing I'm really happy about though is it didn't take me like a couple of years to get into this book. Like, I read it the month after it came out, and there's so many times when I read the first two and the third one's just sitting there for so long, or the fourth one or the fifth or the sixth, but like I just never get to the sequels. So I'm really proud of myself for that fact alone. But I am really sad to say that with this trilogy the books just went downhill for me, because Serpent and Dove on its own is the best book in the whole entire series. The second book I didn't mind. I actually liked where a lot of the story was going and it was really good, but this book really kind of annoyed me because it had some tropes in it that I really do hate, and I just feel like my love for the series just wasn't there anymore, which is just beyond annoying because, as I said, the first book was so promising and the rest of them just are not what I wanted. Like, the fact that they had to change it from a duology to a trilogy I think is a key factor, because so much of the two that was meant to be one is so boring because it got expanded. I feel like it would have been such a better book if it stayed as that one story and we didn't have all this other filler crap going on that just became really annoying by the end. Also, something annoying is I really feel that I didn't retain anything from this book. Like, obviously I know that I've read it and I remember key details, but there's a lot of minor stuff that I just don't remember, and like already a lot of it's getting hazy for me. And probably in this review, if you have read the book, is like there'll be things that you'll be waiting for me to mention that I just don't, because they don't exist in my brain anymore as important. Like, I'm just so mad that my investment faltered at the end there, and I just can't even with this trilogy anymore. And is anyone with me for the fact that this world is so confusing? Because there are so many different places and so many different names for people and names for places and different things going on, and why does every name of a place have to be like 3 words long and they all sound the exact same? So I'm trying to read this book and look at the map and I have no idea where they're going, I have no idea where they are, I don't understand what the titles mean. Like, I am stupid clearly, but like, is anyone else like, it all blurred for me and I really had to just like let it go over my head to try and enjoy the story, because they'd be like, oh, now we're going to blah 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 and there's blah blah blahs here and then blah blah blahs there, and I'm like, just use easier words for me to understand. Okay, to actually get into thoughts and feelings, I can't believe that Nicolina possessed Lou. Like, I had my suspicions at the end of the last book. Like, I was reeling from Ansel dying and then something happened with Lou and I was so concerned for it, man. I was so concerned, and then next minute Nicolina's like, oh, we've got her, we've got the little mice and we're going to do little bad things with it. And like, oh, it was so painful. And the fact too that like we knew this information but no one else did, and like you could see that they all thought she was acting really weird but they couldn't figure out what it was. And even Reed is like, I don't want to kiss or touch her anymore, she's disgusting, and he's like, ugh, and Nicolina just wants to sleep with him and he's just like, get away bitch, get your face away from my face. But when they did discover this is what happened and it was like go 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 to get into those waters that were gonna like save her, and then there was a really sweet moment when like Ansel's ghost came into like Lou's mind to help her get through it all, and he was there and he was this like ghost dog that was like following the main crew around in the first like little bit of the book, and like it was so nice for Lou to be able to get that closure of losing Ansel and knowing it wasn't her fault. And even when she had to like experience his death again and trying to figure out a way that she could have stopped it, but like, oh, it was so nice just for them to be able to have the conversation after death, considering how abruptly Ansel was just ripped from us. it was good. And then we have stupid fucking Reed. I can't even. I'm so mad about his decision to take away his memories, because why? Like, why did you make me suffer for the absolute worst trope of amnesia and then expect me just to be okay with it? Because I'm not. I can't deal with this. It is so effing annoying. And then it leads into another trope that I hate, is when the love interests are ripped apart, because it adds to the drama and the angst and the blah blah blah. Like, I hate it. Why can't we just support each other and be working together? Like, I understand that may be more boring, but it just makes it so that I'm not always so intensely worried about everything all the time. So like, it just put the nail in the coffin that they were separated, but they were right next to each other because he didn't know who she was. And I just can't. Like, it's painful. It is so painful that I had to do this, because so many books do amnesia. I just read a book that did amnesia that really pissed me off, and like, I've read so many, and it's just like, stop it. And then I just couldn't. I had to put the book down. Like, obviously I put it down because We Can Readathon happened, but I didn't pick up this book again for like a couple of weeks because I had no chance in my soul of trying to deal with this at that time. And then when I did pick it up, weirdly enough, it didn't annoy me anymore, and it was very strange to me that that's actually something that could happen. And even coming back into it a couple of weeks later, obviously I was still traumatized by that whole experience of the amnesia thing. That's just so annoying. But there really was something about the fact that Reed was going to be able to fall in love with her again, knowing her lineage and knowing that she's a witch and having no lies between them, because I feel like that's the thing that always kind of was in the back of my mind and irked me when they first fell in love, because she did lie to him and then he hated her for who she was, but then he started to understand her and love her, and that happened in the second book too with that progression. So then having the amnesia ruin everything was really tough at first, but as I said, I really thought about it, and it's actually really good to see Reed at his most hateful still be able to fall in love with her, and to know that they are literally like made for each other and the perfect couple, and no matter what situations are thrown at them, they can still find that place to be together, was actually really sweet to read. And it absolutely gave the relationship a better standing, because as I said, there's been a lot of progression throughout the last two books of them getting better and better and better, but like the foundations of their relationship are just like rock solid now, and I don't think anything would be able to break them. And like, after the Nicolina thing, I was so happy to have Lou back, because it was just boring without our snarky main like dropping some really obscene quotes and riddles and songs and lines. She's just what gives this trilogy the magic, and I'm so glad she came back. And I also really liked watching Lou, Koko and Celine actually start to become like friends, because obviously there is a lot of trauma and angst between the three of them of all different things that have happened, but to see them find like better standing with each other and actually start to depend on each other and care about each other, and it was all like women power, we are bosses, we are cool, and they don't judge each other for anything. And like, I think they're gonna stay friends for like a very long time, which makes me really happy. And then I also have to talk about Koko and Bo, because damn, there was some angst happening there, because like, obviously everything is against them being together, but there is just some steam happening. They have that connection that is just so good, and I'm really hoping that they can find a way to overcome all the other shit, because the book did leave it quite open-ended, but I'm hoping that they find a place to be together, because obviously he's going to be the king, she's in charge of the blood witches, so obviously they've got like other priorities at the moment, but like, they need to be in love, like they need to make it happen. And I'm sad that they didn't completely confirm it for me, but again, I'm hoping. And oh my god, like when they had that game of truth or dare, it just felt so in character for the story as a whole and for all of the characters, and it was honestly my favorite moment in the book, because after one bad thing just happening one after another, it was nice to see them have a little pause and be able to have a drink and play a fun game. And even Reed got into it, and I loved the bit too when he injured himself trying to do a cartwheel and he was so embarrassed about it the next day. Like, that was just solid gold writing. Now, absolutely, the final showdown was the most hectic part of this book. Like, there was just so much slow build up, and then like the last 100 pages, it was just like a lot of things happened, and like a lot of it was really fun and interesting to read about. So I definitely think that like the ending is what made me still give this book 4 stars, because I'm still nostalgic for the first book, but like, I'm just sad. But like, first they nearly all burned at the stake because they accidentally let off this like crazy hellfire shit, and they nearly all burned, and then the king actually died. So like, thank god, because he was very, very awful. and he does not deserve to be king. So I'm glad that that happened. And then Reed remembered. He finally had his memories back. Like, I was worried that they were just gonna leave it at this like new Reed who's like learned to love Lou again, but I'm so glad that they gave him his memories back so that he can remember the old life but also the new life, and it's beautiful. And I also feel like the build up to the moment when it happened was done so well, and like the reunion afterwards, like they were so happy even though everyone's dying all around them. It was just a great moment. And then we had Angelica and Josephine like battling it there at the end, and because they're linked by blood magic, if one died the other died. So then Angelica like took her own life and took Josephine down with her, and that was just like so intense. Like I was just like stressed the whole time. And then Nicolina finally fought back, and I was so proud of her. Like I know she still died, but I feel like she died at peace with herself after like experiencing so many shit things in her life. It was just amazing to see her fight back to the people that have been beating her down her whole life, and I was very proud of her. And then we had Lou and Morgane with the big fight at the end, and I love that they're just like throwing magic at each other and doing different spells. And then Selene just comes in and jabs her with this syringe that like immobilized her, and then Lou killed her own mother, and I was like, oh. Like, I knew what was coming. I knew what was probably going to be how the book ended, but it still shocked me because, like, that's so intense. And I felt so bad for her, but it was definitely a great end to the story. And I also like the fact, too, that Lou, Koko, and Bo are all going to be, like, the leaders of their people now. And they're definitely going to strive to make the world a better place because they all get on well, and they're going to make all the people change and understand what they've been doing wrong and just work well together. And then Reed's probably just going to be, like, Lou's amazing husband, and they're just going to be, like, a great fighting team. And then having the wedding for the epilogue was so good. Like, I loved the fact that they were able to redo the wedding, being in love this time, and actually make it like they were married for real, because the first wedding wasn't technically real just because of the way that it happened. But I love that they're just so happy and just want to be together, and the wedding was beautiful. But I loved the fact that it was from Ansel's POV. Like, that really was such a bittersweet ending, but I really loved seeing him watch them all be so happy. And even though he wanted to be there and he knew he couldn't be, he was so happy for all of them. And then like we got to see him move on, and he got to be with his parents again. Like, it was a great ending, but I'm also really sad about it because I feel like there are so many more things that we could have been told. I don't want another book because it will probably be dragged out badly, but definitely it was a good ending for what we got. So yeah guys, that is all my thoughts and feelings on Gods and Monsters. And I definitely feel like there is more things that I could have talked about, but as I said, it's just not in there at all. So that's all you get. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.